Recording. Okay, very good. Welcome everyone to the regular City of Reading Planning Commission meeting. Today is March 28th, 2023. And here in the room, we have Peter Rye and Danny DiCarlo and myself. I'm Wayne Beeler, I'm the chairman. And on Zoom, we have Nelson DeLeon and Williamson Feasey. So that means we have a quorum, so we will go ahead with the meeting. Do I hear a motion to accept the Planning Commission meeting agenda as distributed? Okay, Dan? Okay, second? Peter?
Yeah.
Very good. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Very good. I heard 5 voices, so there we go. We have an agenda. First on the agenda, we have the Albright College Gingrich Library Land Development Plan with an update and for reaffirmation. And I'll hand it over to Jerome for.
Okay, as you may recall, the Gingrich Library expansion plan located at 1621 North 13th Street was approved by the Planning Commission on January 24th, 2022, subject to conditions. There are just 3 remaining conditions at this point, and those are the certifications of accuracy and ownership would need to be executed. The municipal improvements agreement and the stormwater management agreements would all just need to be executed. The plan is fine to go, does not require any further revisions other than just the seals. So their timing on it in order to report it will expire shortly, and therefore we would need a reaffirmation, which I believe Brandy has in place.
Very good.
Okay.
We have. Oh, hi, Joan.
Hi, how are you? Just to give you an update on the status of the improvements agreement and the stormwater O&M agreement. I've been working with Michelle Mayfield on those, and they've been submitted in final form just before this meeting, about 4 o'clock.
We have submitted a check for the stormwater O&M. Jim has confirmed, Jim Rawls confirmed that he's received that. I still think it's true on CFO on the land development agreement. And then, like Ron said, the next come in, that certification on that. Did Jeff to sign it too, and he's unavailable right now. So I anticipate having that notarized and those together next week, and I'll send them out.
Okay. Yeah, actually next week works out well since my kids are, well, my son has graduated high school, but my daughter still goes to Reading High. What happens with that is that when you drop those off for signatures, Brandy emails me in the morning or calls me, and then I come in the afternoon and sign them right away.
Okay.
So there should be no delay once you're able to get those details. I'll get squared away because then because we want to get you up and running.
Understood. We appreciate that.
So yeah, so there's no delay. Brandy and I are have it all set up. I usually come in at 2 o'clock.
So the date with the conditions is dated March 22nd, 2023.
And Mr. Chairman, I don't have the reaffirmation form in my folder. Can I send that out to Joan and just so I can get it signed while we're here in the meeting? Okay, I just want to make sure that I have that going forward. Okay.
And then she can pop it back to us.
Okay.
And let's see here. With that, okay, does any of the commissioners have any comments? Hearing none. Do you have any comments, Tim?
No, I think I agree with everything that's been said here on this.
Great. Very good. We will get that reaffirmation popped back here from Joan in a minute or two, and then we'll take a look.
All right, I'll wait for it. That's fine.
Okay,
Okay.
it's on its way, Joan.
Okay, thank
Sorry
you.
about.
Brady,
Oh, I have a blank one. See, I have a blank one.
Yeah.
Yes, blank forms anymore. Let's see.
let's see who wins.
I don't think I do. I do. Think. Okay.
Never mind, Joe.
Never mind, Joan. We have one here.
You have a
Thank
form
you.
here? Okay, so I don't have to wait for a form?
Brad's gonna sign it.
Yeah, we gotta
I'll sign
sign
it.
it.
Okay,
That'd be-
okay, that's perfect.
Yeah. So, but thanks for being there for us, Joan.
Okay, glad to help.
With that, do I hear a motion to reaffirm the approval of the Albright College Gingrich Library Land Development Plan? The project was originally approved subject to conditions on January 24th, 2023, resolution number 04-2023. See, I was busy today. Okay, Peter, second.
Second,
Okay, Nelson? Okay, question on the motion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Very good. And we have our reaffirmation. And so we'll get that finished, we'll get that one finished up. Okay, next on the list, we have the First Energy Stadium final plan with an update and reaffirmation.
Okay. This plan was resubmitted to the city of Reading. It was previously approved by the planning commission on August 23, 2022, and reaffirmed on December 20th, 2022. We have received an updated plan. This is what we thought was going to be a revised plan of record. It's actually a revised final plan. Since the plan was not reported as of yet. So this letter is now dated March 22nd, 2023. And it's just a few simple items that they need to complete. The technical logs that are provided under comment 4 for stormwater management are a result of the earth disturbance activities and grading activities that changed as a result of the bullpen expansion. And the bullpen expansion is the area in the center of the plan. Other than that, we feel that the plan is acceptable, and the certificate of accuracy and ownership still need to be executed, redated. We thought that the plan would need to go back to the county, but it does not, since it was previously reviewed. So that's good that it's not a revised plan of record. The stormwater management maintenance agreement and the municipal improvements agreement still need to be executed. Since this is a city-owned project, the municipal improvements agreement may be worked out in another fashion, but that's being worked on and coordinated as well. So those are the remaining issues that need to be addressed with this plan. Again, this is just a modification as a result of the building expansion and modifications in what's called left center field, and some of the earth disturbance activities in center field, and everything else pretty much remains the same.
Any questions from the commissioners? Okay. Do you have anything on this, Tim?
Yeah, I did. With regard to the agreements, I thought the prior discussion when we reviewed this the last time was that we would be doing the same as we did for the city's other property here, the 9th and Marion Fire Station. Maybe I don't know if the notes reflect that or not, but that's what my recollection is that we would handle it the same way. And I think we didn't need the agreements. I don't know, Chris, if you remember any of that. I think Michelle was on board at that time.
Yes, I'm not familiar with what the mechanics of that were. Michelle would have handled that. I can
Yeah.
certainly,
It's
I
the
don't
s-
think I can reach her right now.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a similar situation where it's a city-owned property. It's not managed by the city in this case. It's managed by Reading Phillies, but it's a city property. It's a city facility. City owns it. So, with the city being the owner, I guess the idea was, do we really need to have an agreement with ourselves to bond the improvements and the stormwater management? And I'm thinking not, but I guess we would rely on that
Well-
experience, and that would be our comment.
Well,
Public
certainly
Works.
there is a precedent that was established, at least with regard to that particular project, which I'm guessing, Tim, was the most recent land development involving a city-owned property.
Right.
And certainly it would make sense if there was an acceptable path with that project to do the same thing here. But in general, it is, I would think, appropriate to have a lenient approach on those agreement requirements when the city is involved. As I don't anticipate we're going to take enforcement action, or the city would take enforcement action against itself. So
Right.
I think whatever approach was done with the fire station makes sense here.
Mhm. Okay.
Tim and Chris, the site improvements are about 60% complete. I think.
Right. And you've been watching that, I guess, right?
Yes. So I have no fear that it's going to be.
Yes.
The only thing I want to ask on this is, are there any third-party costs that are at risk here for inspections or anything of that nature? I mean, if we had a third party who was doing inspections, you might want to escrow some money for inspections, but is the city doing all the inspections on this project with city staff?
Chris, my office is doing it on behalf of Public Works and the Community Development Services Department.
So you're correct, Chris, then it is the city's inspecting their own improvement. So I'm not aware of any third party, though.
Okay.
I don't know. Jerome, I don't know if you've seen any out there. I'm not aware of any.
Tim, I think I am the third party.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Well,
Jerome is doing
it's-
it as a contractor.
As a contractor for the city, so instead of me being out there, we get to have Jerome and his crew out there.
Well, I'm just raising this because it's the only risk I see of, some expense that would not be secured if there's not an improvements agreement, would be third-party expenses like paying Jerome. But again, I think it's appropriate to take a lenient approach where it's the city's own project.
Mike, I forgot that you were here. Do you have any comments?
No, I think everything was summarized pretty well.
Great. Is there anyone else here for this project? No. Okay. Any comments from the commissioners?
Now, I do want to make one more comment, and that is with regard to the stormwater agreement. Now, that is an agreement that requires maintenance of stormwater improvements. And that is something that if it's put into place now by the current owner, being the city, it would be applicable to any future owner, so that if there were ever hypothetically a transfer of ownership of the property, the stormwater maintenance requirements, by having that agreement recorded, would be applicable to a future owner. So I just want to throw that out there as a consideration. And Tim, I don't know, certainly with a fire station, I'm sure there's not an expectation of a third party ever being an owner there. But again, the general point is that it may make sense to have that stormwater agreement executed and recorded just to ensure that any owner in the future would be obligated to maintain the stormwater facilities.
Yeah, and in fact, the difference there being is that the manager of this facility is not the city where the fire station it is. It's the fire department, which is the city, city hall. In this case, it is Reading Phillies. So I agree with you. I think that we do need to look at that. We may need to add extra language in there to designate the specifics of that and the fact that there is another lease agreement to Reading
Yeah.
Phillies that would connect into this long-term stormwater management. So yeah, I think that's an appropriate a comment, and it would be good. I think that if Michelle looked into that, that would be unique. I don't know if we run into this anytime in the recent history.
Well, I have experience with other projects where there is a landlord who has developed, a tenant who is developing a property, and what we do there is have the tenant have primary responsibility for the maintenance of the stormwater facilities, but then have the owner sign the agreement as a default responsible party, so that if the tenant were to either go away or fail to comply with the obligations, the responsibility falls back on the owner.
Right.
So the way I would draft this agreement would be to have both the Reading Phillies sign it as the tenant and the city sign it as the ultimate real estate owner.
As you were talking, I just recalled we did have one like that. That would be Nature Place. The
Yeah,
Nature Place is
yeah,
an agree
that's true.
that's a similar situation with a similar underlying lease agreement. So
And it
yes,
was probably structured the way I just described.
probably is. Yes. Mhm.
So we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I'm just curious, do these agreements, they transfer ownership?
Yes.
Like perpetuities?
Very good. All right, with that, do I hear a motion to reaffirm the approval of First Energy Stadium Land Development Plan? Project was originally approved subject to conditions on August 23rd, 2022. Resolution number 48-2022 and reaffirmed on December 20th, 2022. Resolution number 89-2022. I hear a motion. Okay, Dan. Okay, second. Peter. Okay. Question on the motion?
Is it
All those
okay,
in
Chairman,
favor?
if I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Is this a reaffirmation, or I thought I heard Jerome say that this had to be a revision because it wasn't originally, or are you going to do a follow-up with a revision to a final
Well,
plan?
No, the plan wasn't recorded, so it's not a revision to a recorded plan.
So it's a
it's just
final, it's a final
revised.
plan. Okay, so this is not an approval of a final plan. It's just a reaffirmation. I guess I'm still a little confused.
The plan was approved by Planning Commission. It sat for a while, and the applicant came back and mislabeled it as a revised plan of record. It was not a revised plan of record because it was never recorded.
Right.
So
Got
it's a revised plan.
Okay, so it is a reaffirmation of the previously approved final plan.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. And we have a reaffirmation for First Energy Stadium. Thanks for coming, Mike. And good luck to you on the rest of this project.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, next up, we have the Holy Trinity Church of God Land Development Plan, Final Plan Review. And I'll turn it over to Jerome for the update.
This is a revised final plan. This review is dated March 23rd, 2023. It involves the Holy Trinity Church of God. This involves a sanctuary building as long to accommodate 275 persons, and administrative center, a rectory, a shop, and other accessory improvements that are related to the principal uses. The final plan was reissued and dated March 6th, 2023. Remaining comments are as follows. The parking restrictions will be required along Lackawanna Street, and the draft ordinance and exhibit for the review should be completed by Public Works prior to the hearing itself. Tim, you want to take that right now?
I didn't catch quite everything you said, but you're talking about the street vacation now?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like an update on that.
Good night, everybody. I'm Ileana, Oja Engineering. Our attorney is currently working on the documentation so we can get it in front of the council. As of now, we are still not ready to get it in front of them, but he's actively working on that.
And I'm assuming that the same thing applies to the street vacation for Monroe Street and Mercer Street.
That was the update for the street vacation. As far as the parking restrictions, we are scheduled to be in front of the city council on their next meeting on April 10th.
So Ileana, if the attorney has any questions with regards to that, by all means, he can contact me. He's got my number. I can help him. I can't do much with the legal end of it, but Michelle Mayfield has done this several times before. I'm sure she'd be willing to assist that with the vacation, because I know this is at least the third or fourth month that we've been working on this and we haven't seen anything yet. So if there's a holdup there, city is willing to help out with that.
Sure. Thanks for
Mhm.
I'll pass the information to the this property and the location of these street vacations is a little tricky because of the properties that it involves and the way that it's outlined on the city plans, which is what the attorney is trying to square it out to make sure that we get involved any of the property owners that need to be included on the vacation. So that's what he's trying to sort out still. And I'll let him know to reach out to you if he has any questions so we can speed out the process.
Absolutely. Very good.
Other remaining issues on this project is that the plans are being reviewed by Vernon Township Municipal Authority.
Highlight that we made our last submission to the Vernon Township Municipal Authority on February 1st. And although we have been trying to communicate with them to get an update on when their review was going to be completed, not received any information from them. So I wanted to ask the city, since this comment came from the Planning Commission, if they could connect with them and verify what's the holdup and when we can get their answers regarding our last submission.
So Ileana, you're asking the city to make contact with BTMA just to see what's going on?
Correct, because we have been trying to contact them since a few weeks after we made our last submission, which was on February 1st. As you saw on one of our submissions when we provided that letter, there were only a couple and they were pretty minor. So we don't know what's holding them from sending us at least a review letter so we know what is the issue. So at this point, I'm asking for you to intervene and see if there's anything that you can do to speed up that process. Because
Yeah, and in the past, I've talked to Kevin Conrad that's their consultant for BTMA, and I could maybe start with Kevin, and if he doesn't know, maybe Kevin might know who at the authority would be good to contact.
I did send an email to Kevin, but have not received any response, so I don't know.
No, that's strange. Yeah, he's usually pretty good at getting back. I'll give him a call.
All right, thank you.
Doing that, Tim, you might as well ask about the planning modules as well.
Yeah, what's the update on the planning modules? Are they signing off on the conveyance part of that planning module? Is that
Correct.
what we're waiting for?
So
Okay,
we have everything that we needed from the city, but we still need their sign for the conveyance. So we can't really submit until we have the documentation from them. And
Right.
that's be able to provide that to DEP.
got it. Yep, I'll ask about that too.
Thank you.
Other comments that remain is the street addressing appears that 7 Lackawanna and 107 Lackawanna Street has been selected. One is going to be assigned to the I believe one is going to be for the rectory and one is going to be for the worship center. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Whatever Public Works is going to agree upon for the assignment of those, I'm assuming that 7 is going to be the rectory and 107 is going to be the worship center. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe that's okay.
Did you contact that with Chris, Chris Lovell in the engineering office, Ileana? Does he know that? Is that the way he has it registered? I haven't
Correct.
talked to him about it.
Yeah, that's the way he has decided it to be. We were in communication with him a few months ago when that was decided, and we have a note on the plan stating that
Good.
those addresses. We confirmed with him that he's okay for those address to be assigned at the time of plan recording.
Good, very good. Thank you.
All right, so yeah, I want those to be clearly noted on the plan on which one applies to which.
Apply.
Other comments, it looks like we got a letter from Dave Harris from the Berks County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Berks County Board of Commissioners with respect to the use of the 24-inch pipe that goes that crosses the Union Canal. I think we're now all clear on that. They had a third-party engineer review it, and it turns out that they are in agreement for that use. Berks County Conservation District will still need to approve the ENS plan and as well as all subsequent agreements.
Or review process of it. We actually have a submission being sent to them for the technical review within the next week or so.
The other items that also remain are, of course, certificates of ownership and accuracy need to be executed. There will be a municipal improvements agreement required for the project and a stormwater management maintenance agreement. So there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I would be. Yes, and since we need, it seems like we need quite a bit of information from Byrne to finish especially the planning modules. I suspect we will have to table this. Does that sound about right, Chris?
Well, it doesn't appear that it's ready for approval. And I'm looking at Jerome's letter with regard to our time on this plan. We have until May 29 for review. But as to today's agenda, yeah, it doesn't seem that it's ready for action.
Okay.
Just want to confirm that with Brandon.
Yes, that's correct. That's the next date.
Very good. Any comments from the commissioners?
It's making progress, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it's slow, but it's a lot of ducks to put in a row.
Yeah, we talked about it before. There are a lot of various aspects to this. It is coming along, but I agree that we'll have to table it. I moved it to table the plan.
You will? Do I hear a second? Peter? Okay. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. And once again, we are unanimous. Thank
Mr.
God we're
Chairman?
not like
Yeah,
Boyertown School. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Tim.
yeah, I just have one question for Ileana. As far as the presentation for the April 10th Committee of the Whole for that presentation, do you know that whoever the presenter is going to be, I don't know if that's going to be Greg Boja or the attorney, do you know, will they be attending in person? Again, it would be at council chambers, or will they be attending virtually?
That'll be in person and you'll
Good.
be, so I'll be attending to that meeting.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's the best way. Oftentimes, if I'm there, I'll be virtual, but I think when you're doing a presentation, it's best to be in person. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I think we can move on. Thanks, Ileana.
Thanks a
And,
lot.
we'll be seeing you soon.
See you soon then.
Okay, next, we have, next on the agenda, we have the Goggleworks annexation plan, the preliminary / final plan review. And I'll turn it over to Jerome to introduce this.
Okay. There's gonna be two projects we're gonna be talking about. The first is the Goggleworks annexation plan. And then the second is going to be the Goggleworks street vacation, which would involve Thorn Street. So let's take the annexation plan first. This plan was submitted as a preliminary / final plan application since it is exempted from standard procedures. Goggleworks has 18 properties that contain 3.994 plus or minus cumulative acres. And it's bounded by Walnut Street, North 3rd Street, Washington Street, and North 2nd Street. The idea is to have all 18 parcels annexed together and joined in common deed as a result of this project. We have been coordinating this with Stackhouse Bensinger. Since the plan, when you first look at it, it appears to be what's going on with this plan. It looks a little difficult. Aristides made some changes to it to make sure, so we can now see which lot lines would be removed as a result of the annexation. What I had suggested also was possibly to color code it by maybe making the parcels that Goggleworks has in maybe yellow or some lighter shaders of some sort, and the rest, and then leave the rest of the parcels then just as they appear, so we know which parcels are going to be annexed together as a result of the plan. Thorn Street could be left as is because it is labeled as to be vacated, and we'll discuss that secondarily. So going back to the lot annexation, we will still need to see a draft deed description that's going to be reported with the plan. We had asked for a few notes to be added to the plan with respects to the requirements for sanitary sewage, water supply, planning, engineering, and so forth. As a result of the review with the Thorn Street vacation, we also may want to add a note on the plan with respects to the blanket easement for other utility improvements, mostly stormwater management.
I can tell you what I intended to do. It might make it easier. So what I intend to do is give you a blanket easement for the entire property. And then including all utilities, because I don't want to have to track down UGI and let the city then be able to treat them as assignees or whatever else in the event they need to access the property. I think I've done that with another project in the city. I think we might have done.
We've done that with other projects.
So that would be our intention.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
we can.
and Public Works is in agreement with that too, because we'd have a hard time tracking down some of our pipes. We don't know the exact location. We only know the approximate location. So we're 100% in agreement with a blanket agreement.
And that note or blanket easement agreement will make it clear that no excavation or construction activities can occur without actually identifying any affected utilities, something to that effect.
Yeah, I think when the Goggle Works, I mean, there will be a subsequent plan, I think, a land development plan that comes later from Goggle Works, and there'll have to be a PA1 call or something done to try to identify where some of these utilities are that nobody knows about.
And that subsequent plan is going to be the Goggle Works aren't part.
Right, I agree that a one call is required, but I would prefer that the blanket easement also makes it clear that there will be no excavation or construction without identifying affected utilities. Just to, belts and suspenders, that concept that we're not going to dig into anything that's underground.
No problem. Make a note of it now. And also it'll address existing conditions, because I believe that the city has a large stormwater pipe, Tim, that traverses and it runs underneath current buildings now, right?
That is correct. And that's something we really need to protect in any future. And again, we're only seeing an annexation plan and a vacation plan. We're not really seeing a land development plan here, which was something that I kind of put a note in my list here. So we don't exactly know what's going, although we did see something, a sketch plan earlier, I guess last year or the year before. Yeah, we want to be careful that whatever the plan is, be very cautious, because there is a 7-foot by 9-foot stormwater pipe at some depth, which we would have to determine, and it's very old. It's well over 100 years old.
Yeah, we were just talking off to the side, Tim. Tim, right now, I believe the plan that has not been submitted, that will come later, it's for an outdoor amphitheater. So there may be some paving, but there nothing that would impede access, because it will not be an enclosed building. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it'd be, so if you had to dig to get to a pipe, you dig and then you repave.
Right. Yeah, we'd be mainly concerned about grading, where excavation would be involved,
Right.
or setting of foundations and putting load on the property where the utility would be located. So that's something we'd want to be, aware of well in advance.
To figure out where some of this stuff is, I think pre-construction.
Right.
But we're not there yet.
I think we'll be back in front of you, as final, we'll be back in front of you with whatever future phase might include. Certainly get your shot at raising concerns or this particular phase. So
It's already.
what we already had submitted as a sketch plan, which was reviewed preliminarily, is strictly changing surface materials. We're not putting anything in the ground. As far as structural components or revising grades to a point where we'd be concerned about either impacts to existing utilities or cover over existing utilities. And certainly future phases, the art park, which was mentioned, which I believe is proposed to occur up in the northeast corner. That'd be coming back in front of the city to look at anyway.
So this annexation plan was also necessary just to avoid zoning conflicts.
Right. Yeah, especially since I understand that the beginning work on Goggle Works 2 is underway.
So other things, did we get a review back from the county by chance?
We have not yet, no.
Yeah,
No, I just saw an email where they said they only got the submission like last Friday.
Got table this.
That's my big question there.
Plan looks like it's in good shape, but just those minor modifications. Key is going to be the county review. Yeah.
Yeah, and
by then we should have the easement agreement hopefully submitted to council on, and we work out any kinks that there might be.
So yeah, you could just do the interim.
Yeah, and in fact, the plan that's up on the screen is updated as of today, that addressed a number of your comments, the March 23rd letter. Obviously, we'll add some color, ease the understanding of what Goggle Works and what is.
Yeah, the county's not gonna need anything further, I think that that's what they have, we should be able to understand.
Right. And then I think the last thing, which will probably segue into our next discussion topic, would be the street vacation and making sure that we have a note on the annexation plan referring to local ordinance.
All right. Any comments from the commissioners on this plan?
Mr. Chairman, this is, well, I have a question. I'm
Go
trying
ahead,
to
Will.
understand legally the process, how a vacation works. I know we're considering the annexation right now, but next will be considering the vacation, and the question is how they relate together. And when the city approves the vacation, does it effectively create a new parcel that is then conveyed to the adjoining landowners? And if so, is that conveyance typically recorded in the Recorder of Deeds office?
The answer is yes and yes, Will. So what will happen is part of that street is surrounded by Goggle Works. Part of that street has on one side of it Goggle Works Artists, which is Jim Boscov's property. So we actually have prepared deeds for the city to convey to Goggle Works all of the portion that's surrounded by Goggle Works on both sides, and then the portion where it's 50-50 Goggle Works and 50-50 Boscov Arts at the bottom of your screen underneath Stone Alley. Half of that will be conveyed to Goggle Works Artists, and half will go to Goggle Works, if that makes sense to you. And
Yes,
then
thank you.
we believe
Go
we
ahead.
have an agreement with Goggle Works then to deed over their portion back to us. But the city legally can't give it to us because that's not how the vacation law works. The vacation law works so that you get 50% on either side. And because we don't own both sides of the street all the way down, they'll have to give half the Boscov Arts or Goggle Works Arts.
Right, which is why I asked when in my question I said owners plural because of keeping in mind the 50% matter. And I wasn't sure if you had both sides or not. So now we know there's another landholder there. But the reason I'm asking that then, if that's the case, is it automatically then annexed, or do we need to consider that as part of the annexation? In other words, what I'm really getting at is, should we do the vacation before we do the annexation?
Well, that's a good question, Will. Just like a chicken or the egg.
I would think the
Okay,
city
that's
prefer that
Go for the annexation.
go first. I would think that you would want the street vacation to go first so that you can note the ordinance
True.
on the plan
Yes.
that vacated the street.
That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking, then do it all in one fell swoop, and then also then we could consider the easement, including what would be the part that's conveyed from the vacation.
Correct. Because
Yeah.
our annexation
Okay,
Yeah, I totally agree that it makes more sense to complete the street vacation before the annexation plan is finalized.
Right, right. And I'd agree too, because the way these lots are shown right now, they don't actually exist. You don't own property out in the middle of Thorn Street right now. You will after it's vacated, so the vacation would have to come first.
okay, thank you.
To piggyback on Will's question though, Keith, you mentioned about the first property, the Goggle Works Apartments, keep moving east. What about the other properties to the east of Stone Alley? Can you address those?
There's nothing else that touches on Thorn Street other than Goggle Works Artists and Goggle Works owned properties at all.
Well, we have Stone Alley and Little Thorn, which I think is
We're not
labeled in
asking you
there.
to vacate either one of those.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Keith.
We are not asking you to vacate either one of those at this time.
You don't want to vacate those.
Not at this time. That's like 3 projects down the road, from my understanding, that if there's funding and those projects come to fruition, that they may come back and ask the city to do that, but that would be years and years down the road. It does not affect, neither Stone Alley or Little Thorn affect the plans that Goggleworks presently has that they have funding for.
Yeah, okay. Then the Goggleworks apartment lot is a little confusing than the way it's drawn. I'm not following where and I think what Aristides is trying to draw is the final configuration following the vacation.
Yeah, so Tim, if you're looking at the plan on the screen, I think what you might be looking at that might be confusing is that there's a dashed dot line down the center.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a zoning line. If you follow it east and then south to Washington Street and then east down Washington Street, you'll see R3 and CC. That's just a district line. But if you go back up to the intersection of Thorn Street and Stone Alley, you see those big black circles. Those are the actual corners of the
I see.
boundary. So we're not looking to do anything within Stone Alley whatsoever. We're kind of carving out around both Stone Alley and I guess it's Little Thorn Street. I think we have it as Whitaker, whatever it's called. That's excluded.
Okay. Okay. I think I understand better. That's a zoning line. I was interpreting that as a property or a future property line, but it's not.
Why not vacate? They clean it all up.
Well, Stone Alley is more complicated because Stone Alley actually has property owners other than Goggleworks artists that abut it that would need to agree.
They're getting something.
They're not getting anything.
A piece of plan.
Well, it's still an entrance. It's still an
Yes,
entrance to the Goggleworks.
you've got the entrance, correct.
So, then you'll have the problem where, as Keith was saying, if you split Stone Alley down the middle, we can't use it. We could get, I guess by zoning you couldn't, but you know, there are places in Berks County where when they have split stuff like that down the middle, person puts the fence right in the middle of the street. So, and we want to avoid that kind of carrying on.
I have a question about the intersection of Thorn and Stone and how the boundary of the vacated portion of Thorn Street matches up with Stone. So it's a little confusing here. It looks like the left side, and that's as I look at the plan, the left side, we are treating that as being annexed to the Goggleworks property, but on the right side, it's still part of Stone Alley, or is it not still part of Stone Alley? If you understand my question, it's
Thorn Street, Chris?
yeah, right there at that intersection of Thorn and Stone, the left side is being annexed to Goggleworks, but the right side of the intersection, it's unclear whether that's now part of the Jim Bosco property or whether it's still part of Stone Alley.
Well, nothing at Stone, nothing in Stone is affected, is what I can say. So you would run down the line of Thorn Street, and that's what's being annexed to either Goggleworks or Goggleworks Apartments.
Okay, well, just to say it again, and maybe I'm not being clear, Thorn Street has a total width of 20 feet.
Correct.
And at the intersection with Stone, the left-hand 10 feet is being annexed to the Goggleworks, but the right-hand 10 feet is still being treated as part of Stone Alley. Is that the intention? Is that how the vacation is going to be proposed?
Public Works would not want that disposition. If we're going to be vacating Thorn Street, we'd want to vacate the full 20-foot width. We don't want to be responsible for a 10-foot strip.
Well, shouldn't there be, and again, I'm not the engineer on this, but it seems to me there ought to be a line or something that.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Chris.
Okay.
It seems like we will have a 10-foot wide strip, the length of the Goggle Works apartment, that seems to be an orphan strip of property here. It needs to be defined as what's the disposition
I
of
think that's
the left side of that property.
What I would call no man's land. Obviously, Goggle Works Apartments ends at the intersection. And then there's the space of Thorn Street in between Goggle Works Apartments and the first Goggle Works parcel on the other side of Stone Alley. That is going to be deeded to, as part of the annexation plan, we have it in the deed description to be deeded to Goggle Works. If that makes sense to you.
It was hard for me to hear all of that.
Yeah.
Just point to it.
You
Yeah.
point here.
Talk about
Yeah.
this Thorn Street right here, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
Where Goggle Works stops right here. And then there's Thorn Street and it doesn't abut anything but Stone, sorry, Stone Alley. We're giving that to Goggle Works.
He's confusing it with that dash line again.
Yeah, that dash
No,
line.
no.
no, I
it's not.
understand. I understand the gas line. I'm
Yeah.
still, where's this 10-foot wide strip going to go? On the right side of the center line of the split Thorn Street. Who gets the 10-foot wide on the right side?
On the right side down here,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it goes to Goggle Works Artists. It has to by law.
okay.
And then
So-
we're gonna no man's land, and then everything on this side goes to Goggle Works. Now, we believe we have an agreement with Mr. Boscov that he's gonna give us everything that goes to him anyway. But that can't be done as part of this.
right. Well, I think on the street vacation plan, it has to be clear that that area at the end of Stone Alley is being vacated, that, you know, the full width of Thorn Street is being vacated, and that Stone Alley ends at the end of the existing deed
Right.
boundaries right there.
Right there.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
right there.
And as part of our petition, remember, we do have legal descriptions. We have deeds that we have submitted to the city. So it's not just the plan that the city would be agreeing to, it's all of those things.
Right?
Mhm.
That's to my review.
Okay.
Right.
It
Yep.
just, it wasn't clear on this annexation plan what the disposition of that area was, so
Right.
thank you for the explanation.
Yes.
No problem. I think all the city's doing is asking for a recommendation from this body with regard to the annexation
No, the annexation.
or the vacation petition.
So I think to clarify what you just brought up, possibly is this another Z line on the east side of Thorn Street?
Well, I don't know if they could do that at this time. With the way Keith described it, they're not ready for that yet. So in that case, I think maybe it is appropriate that left side or the east or the right side, the east side is something that they're working out with the Boscov property. Yeah.
Well, that's all the more reason to complete the vacation process first and get
Yeah.
the disposition of the full width of the vacated street addressed, and then add all that information to the annexation plan.
So who owns this little 10-foot sliver north of 10 on Stone?
Going up the other way, that's the other, house.
Oh, this.
That's Little
This one.
Thorn Street.
That's called Little Thorn Street. That is an actual city street, believe it or not. It's a 10-foot wide city street. So is Stone Alley. Stone Alley is a city street, even though it's just 10 feet wide.
Why aren't we vacating those, Little Thorn? We're not asking. They're not asking. Why do you not want that?
Because from what I understand, that's part of the, that's part of the.
That's part of another phase.
That's, yeah, part of phase 2.
Yes.
Right.
And you don't have control of all the properties.
Well, we do for Whitaker or Little Thorn,
Mhm.
but not for Stone Alley.
Okay, you have a. That, Little Thorn doesn't go.
But I guess the easy answer is it all costs money. And since it's not part of the project now,
Okay,
they're not gonna spend, the client's not gonna spend the money to get all the documents and legal descriptions created that need to be created in order to vacate that street right now.
all right. I have another comment about that intersection of the two streets, and I wanted to hear Tim's thoughts on it, and that is for maintenance by city crews. Do you need a hammerhead in Thorn Street? I mean, you know, retain that as a city street for a couple of feet so that you can turn equipment around?
I don't know that the city actually does maintain that. I think Goggleworks takes care of all of that. I know it does not appear on the city's liquid fuel fund, so we receive no allocation from the state as though it were a street. It's a street simply because it appears on the city's official topographic plan as a street, and it makes it a street. Therefore, we have to vacate it to clean up the books. But I don't believe so. I don't know, Keith, or if anyone else from Goggleworks would know. I could ask. I don't think we plow it. I'm not. I think Goggleworks takes care of all that.
If you drive down Walnut Street and enter the Goggleworks property on Thorn, you'll see it looks like a private drive. It functions like a private drive, and
Yes.
Goggleworks maintains it.
And the same way with the entrance off of Third Street, this Stone Alley entrance. Is it the same way there too, Keith?
Same way.
Yep, I thought so.
All right.
There's actually signage.
So
on
we
Stone-
wouldn't need, there would be no need for a hammerhead then.
Okay,
This is
okay.
Levi Landis. Can you guys hear me? This is Executive
Yes.
Director from Goggleworks. Hi, good evening. Thanks. I've been listening here for a few minutes. I just wanted to weigh in. Yes, we maintain that area. It's not really a street. It's sort of part of our property, so we're happy to take care of that.
Right,
All right, well,
very good.
if Tim says that the city doesn't need any access, that's fine with me.
We don't.
Good to hammer some of this stuff out now.
So I think to recap, we need a motion to table the annexation plan because we don't have county review amongst other things.
Mhm.
And then we would be hoping for a positive recommendation on the vacation plan.
Okay. Very good. So let's do the vote first for the, unless commissioners have a question about the annexation plan.
Just one more question. What's our time on this plan? I didn't see that noted in Jerome's letter.
This one was just submitted this month, so we're going to have probably until June.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
The 90-day clock would technically start today.
Okay,
Okay. With that, do I hear a motion to table the Goggleworks annexation plan? Peter? Second? Danny? I get my pen to work. There we go. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. We are once again unanimous. And then we will move on to see if Jerome has any comments specific to the street vacation.
I think we pretty much covered a lot of these points. This is the Thorn Street vacation petition. This is going to require a recommendation by the planning commission. City council will need to have a public hearing and then consider the vacation of this segment of Thorn Street. Again, this segment of Thorn Street is between Walnut Street and Washington Street. And I'll just bring up some of the other issues that may have not been presented. Is that the closure would involve a connection to two state streets. It does not appear that the closure would impact what we previously discussed, but do we need any verification from PennDOT since both roads are going to be essentially closed? And that all, I guess, is dependent upon if there are going to be any improvements, and those improvements can be shown on future plans. But I'd like to hear the applicant's proposal at this point, then we can talk to, then we can see what Tim has to say.
Sure. Well, with this particular project or vacation, nothing is being proposed to be changed on the northern end of Thorn Street. It will be maintained as it is now. The access to what's essentially the parking lot for Gulliver Works at that northwest corner. That's an access point or regress there. No plan, no change, no increase in any kind of vehicular traffic proposed for any of what was submitted as what we're calling phase one, but the sketch plan that was in front of the planning commission a couple of months ago. And as it currently stands, the existing point of access from Thorn Street to Washington Street, very familiar with the end of that. There have been concrete planters or blocks at the end of Thorn Street for I don't know how many years. Levi got in, but there is no vehicular access. There hasn't been in a number of years, so there is no change proposed with that as well. If you're familiar with what we had presented to the planning commission with regards to what's currently being proposed improvement-wise, the southern portion, I guess if you will, of Thorn Street is being proposed to be more of like a pedestal paver, which basically raises the platform pavers above Thorn Street. That will be pedestrian only. So I don't even think there's any Gulliver Works traffic that goes that way aside from maybe a service truck. But there is no point of egress or ingress on the south end of Thorn Street. So I don't see any need to go to PennDOT with either of those. Now, further down the line, should future phases like the art park or anything else that is being proposed, change circulation, change use, relocate entrances, certainly we will be looking at. Nothing's being proposed.
You okay with that, Tim?
Yeah, I was listening to that. Is there any way to get the drawing up? I think Brandy's working on it to get the vacation. Is it coming up?
You should be seeing it. Let me redo it.
Try it again. The question I have is I looked at it and I'm trying to picture what it says now. There we go. Okay, so the vacation would be at the north point along Walnut Street. It would not include any of Walnut Street. It would only include from the edge of the right-of-way line of Walnut Street to the edge to the northern edge of the right-of-way of Washington Street. And I would tend to agree with Aristides because we went through this exercise, if you remember, with RAC and the vacation of the right-of-way along the Penn Street Bridge where 2nd Street is a state highway. And we did actually contact them and it was kind of like, they didn't really have any concern. As long as you didn't affect the highway, they didn't have any concern. As long as we're not affecting Walnut Street, SR 2012 or Washington Street, what is it? That's 2011, right? Then, or 2010. Then I wouldn't see any reason why PennDOT would have to be involved in this.
So they don't care that it's changing from a city street to a driveway, basically?
They probably already think that it is a driveway because it does not appear on PennDOT's liquid fuel map. I don't know when that was removed, but it normally would have.
Some of this, just for context, this is Levi again, is kind of buttoning up something everybody thought was done. So
I think you're
we
right.
all went looking for the records, and it is a footnote on the development plan, note
Yes.
132, but I just think it was never formally put before this body.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the next comment is that we discussed this previously was with regards to the utilities that are located within this, just this segment, which would be sanitary sewage, water, some stormwater, and there may be other utilities, and the blanket easement is going to be proposed. Do we have any objections with that, Tim?
Who's going to grant that easement? Is the city going to do that? Or is,
No, GogleWorks will be the grantor and the city would be the grantee and the beneficiary of the easement.
okay,
Yeah.
so the vacation will be completed and then GoggleWorks and Jim Boskov will each grant the blanket easements?
Jim won't give you anything. Hopefully by the time the easement gets signed, we'll own everything and we're going to give you a blanket easement across the entire description of the GogleWorks property,
Okay,
if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, because Jim Boskop is not party to this submission then, is that right?
Actually, no, Jim is a party to the Thorn Street vacation petition, or GogleWorks Apartments has signed the petition.
I guess there's no way to leverage that blanket easement at this time. We'll have to wait.
Yeah, I think he would rather just convey to us what he's gonna convey to us and be out of it.
Okay.
yeah. Okay, because if the blanket easement was just going to be on the bed of Thorn Street, the city could do it itself before completing the vacation process. But if the goal here is to get the blanket easement on the entire GoggleWorks property, then I think it just has to be a condition of the vacation that easement is granted. And then it's recorded after the vacation is completed and after the transfers of real estate have been completed.
Agreed, and that's why we're willing to put it as a note on the annexation plan, that it be done.
Okay. Well, that'll make it a condition.
Yep.
Next comment is with respect to, we wanted to make sure that fire and rescue has the plan and is able to provide comments probably prior to the scheduling of a public hearing. So that they were provided this proposal as well.
Is that something we need to distribute to them directly, or?
Or would Linda's office have done that already? I know she emailed it out to a bunch of people, because I saw the email chain, but I'm not sure. I can look back to see if those people got it.
I
Yeah.
copied Jeremy on this letter as well. So. Number 7, we pretty much discussed that for the last half hour. And I think we got that now covered. And 8 and 9 are just administrative items that need to be addressed by the city of Reading prior to the hearing. So this is going to be a recommendation that's going to be necessary before city council considers it. It is not an official action that that the planning commission typically has. It's a recommendation.
And just as clarification, the Berks County Planning Commission doesn't make comments on a vacation, right? Yeah.
And the letter that we're working off of is the March 27th letter. The March 24th letter was changed to add a comment. Want to make sure that Linda has a clean copy. So,
Yeah.
Do the commissioners have any comments related directly to the street vacation? Okay. Go ahead, Peter.
Because you have to come up with a legal description, which means we have to go out and survey it.
That's not a problem.
You want to donate it? I mean, it's not necessary. I mean, it doesn't affect the project at all. It doesn't affect the inner workings of the Goggle Works at all at this point.
I think it's, speeding up.
Well, I think it will definitely become a condition when phase 2 comes before us.
Or as I can see, comparing Google with 30 building standing top of it.
Goggle Works does not have a building standing on top of it. You might be out in front of it because there's an existing garage.
Extension of.
I didn't bring that up.
But anyway, why?
Yeah.
So they can't be breaking down.
Well,
See,
with the, two things. With the annexation, everything will become part of the Goggle Works, so that then when phase 2 is ready to come before us.
Sorry, I want to share and I'm sorry, Peter. And you can't, yeah, you can't touch it.
I think it's standing in.
Yeah.
Right. Looks like.
It's kind of hard to tell, isn't it?
But see, I think there's other properties that are affected. I mean, when you come off of Walnut onto Little Thorn, there are other property owners who have to consent to this. It's not a matter of Goggle Works or Goggle Works artists being the only parties involved in this. And these people either have to be,
Surrounded by the boundaries.
and these people have to either be compensated or have to agree to the vacation.
We might be back in a number of years and
Do that, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's also, I'm thinking with the annexation, the description will actually get a little bit easier. So might be something that, it might be better to wait.
That's why I sure. Some of these.
Right.
Right, they can't combine it.
Even though they.
They're not combining this.
He pulled them out.
Yeah.
The plan, so.
Oh, of the plan, okay, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Presented at the end.
Um,
So,
so you want the street vacation?
Yeah, the
Nope.
annexation.
Okay. Okay, one. Have to open it again.
Yeah, and this was why the color scheme. Make it easier to see which one's the Goggle Works, which one's the house.
Okay.
So Aristides made the some of the changes we suggested by putting the X's where those are. So it's these parcels
Sorry.
No,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, don't touch it.
Work. So these. Where they go? So these are the only two parcels?
On the north side of Stone. Well, there's the northwest corner. At the third Walnut. Along those two parcels.
But those don't have access to Stone Alley or.
Well, not my property, but
What's the boundary of what? It's like.
Yeah. There we go. Right.
Oh, this way.
Yeah. So they own both sides of this.
right.
Right? So there's nothing, there's no property owners to talk to about vacating.
Where's,
We already own it.
where's Pena's Auto at?
That's up top. Yeah, the question is, Ben,
Is this property line here? Is this property line here? And if so, then it would get more cities. If not, this is not.
This they own. This they own. This they own.
Well,
This
according,
they own, this they own, this they own, this they own. This they own. Why can't you just draw this line straight across? And get rid of this alley that has.
well, according to this is not being annexed, so they don't own it.
This is within the boundary of what they're assembling, right?
Well, then they need to put an annexation. These two parcels.
This part.
Boundary is not drawn.
Yeah. Yeah, correct.
This one. This one. You know this one?
So, in other words, looking on here, according to what you have drawn here, you don't own that. You don't own this property right here that's bounded by this lawn. There's a property line here. You would need this over to yeah, that's there. Like you would need one here because this looks like a property. Now, with that considered, now you do own both sides.
Right, that's correct.
but like I said, it might be easier to do the description once the annexation's done. And you bring in the land development plan for phase 2. Which is 4 or 5 years down the road.
They can do it now or they can do it at that time.
Well, we would prefer to do it then. What we're trying to do, just to make it clear, we're spending donor and taxpayer money to do this project, and we fully intend to do the full project, but we're trying to keep it as clean as possible. And I love Keith, but he bills by the hour, so I'm trying to do this responsibly too, you know?
Clear as I could.
Let me ask you this question, Levi, while we have you on the discussion point. Does Little Thorn and or Stone Alley, is that in the way of any future improvements that are going to be required for the Goggleworks Art Park?
They're not going to implicate what we do. In other words, what we try to do is practice personal responsibility. In other words, we're trying to tend the part of the garden we can touch. Now, if it's helpful to the city to do that, we're certainly in favor of it. But we're trying to do everything we need to around what we're actually doing. So it won't implicate that thoroughfare, but we certainly would be in favor of closing it if it gave us more flexibility and if it helps the city make it clean.
It would give you more flexibility in terms of setbacks. So there'd be virtually no zoning conflicts.
Well, again, we're not going to go out on the street there. Right now, it's kind of gated in, and I wish we could show some photos of it, but it's not really, people use that street and it doesn't implicate what we're doing back there. And if we make it a park, we're going to enclose it. So we might ask for egress from 3rd Street and et cetera, but we're trying to be thoughtful of the neighbors there and just do things in a phase so it doesn't shoot up property values or cause problems, and just kind of do it one phase at a time, very clean.
So you're saying, Levi, that people are using Little Thorn Street as a driveway?
Well, no, Little Thorn Street is essentially gated off. I mean, it's one of these that's similar to Thorn Street in that it was essentially vacated. But there are people that are connected to it in the neighborhood. There's a couple private residents on that side. There's the mechanic up on the top. And I don't know exactly where they touch, but again, we were just trying to deal with the part that implicates this part of the project.
How about if we do it this way, is that we put a note on the annexation plan to reflect that the Stone Alley and Little Thorn Street vacation shall be considered at that time when the land development plan is submitted. Because that way you may have implications with zoning, with setbacks. So therefore it may be a necessity at that time, but I would suggest that we put that on the plan that way. It's completed and when the land development plan is proposed.
Understood.
Understood that. I just don't want to come back in, no offense, maybe in 20 years and everybody's looking, wasn't that vacated? There's a note on the plan from 2023, similar to the 1990.
It should be clear. As part of the future land development plan for this thing. Yeah. And at that time, Levi, it may be a necessity for you to do that anyway.
Yeah, it's probably to our advantage. And again, I don't want to say we're planning on it, but we certainly want to do everything appropriate with any areas that are implicated at each phase.
Yeah, it would be to your advantage right now because Stone Alley, if you were to vacate that now, you would have problems at the entrance because you've got those other adjoiners that are not part of Goggleworks. So yeah, I think that would be better to, as you're saying, as you're planning to hold that off until the next phase. Until you're ready to deal with it.
The annexation plan. Yeah, because that's going to be an official document that's recorded.
Okay. Very good. I think we covered everything, I hope. Well, street vacations usually are, I think the easiest street vacation we ever had is the Church Street one we just did. Otherwise, they usually get pretty complicated. So unless someone's just dying to beat this horse a little bit more, do I hear a motion to recommend to City Council the approval of the vacation of Thorn Street as presented?
So move.
Okay, thank you, Nelson. Second? Peter? Awesome. Your question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I heard everybody, so we are unanimous. And well, thanks for coming in, Keith. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Levi.
And let me see here. We will next on the agenda is old business project updates and pending plans. And those are, as usual, are on the supplemental report. We can, if there are any questions, we can hold off on those until we do our reaffirmations for today. First reaffirmation is to reaffirm the approval of 35 North 6th Street Land Development Plan. Project was originally approved subject to conditions on June 28th, 2022. Original resolution was number 40-2022 and reaffirmed on January 24th, 2023. That resolution was 9-2023. Do you have anything on this one, Drew?
They did make progress with the planning module. It was endorsed and sent back to the DEP.
Okay, great. Anything on this one, Tim?
I'm sorry, I stepped out there for a minute. Which item were we on?
We're on number 10, 35 North 6th Street, the Schuman property.
Right, yeah, I think everything there from Public Works has been addressed.
Any comments from the commissioners? Okay. Do I hear a motion to reaffirm the approval of 35 North 6th Street Land Development Plan? Peter? Second? Danny? Okay. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, next is is 531 Upland annexation. Any updates on this one, Jerome?
No, this is a project that requires municipal improvements as well as stormwater management maintenance agreement. Not sure if those have been executed just yet, but the plan has been previously approved by you, obviously, and it would need those items to be reported with the final plan. So I would recommend pre-application.
Anything on this one, Tim?
Let's see. I think Craig, you're here, right?
I am.
Planning modules?
Yeah.
Do we got approval, right?
We did. We got approval on Friday.
Yeah.
We
So
we're in the process right now of doing revisions to the plans to clean up the few comments that were left. One of those being the cost estimate for the improvements agreement. I believe our attorney was in touch with Chris Workman's office today about the standard agreements for stormwater management and the improvements agreement. So I suspect by the end of next week, we will have that submission made. And once we get a letter from Jerome that states that we've met the conditions, we will have the plans signed, sealed, and record and notarized for the city to sign.
So planning for Public Works is approved.
I'll just say it in case you missed it, Craig, when the municipal improvements agreement and the stormwater management agreement are ready for signatures. Brandy just contacts me and I drop by and sign those. So that, you know, there's usually not much of a wait for that.
Terrific. Okay, good.
Oh, and Craig, one other thing on the agreements, when I said that it was approved outside of the agreements, of course, the stormwater management, there is an operation and maintenance escrow that needs to be submitted. And for most of the commercial properties, we're looking at a $5,000. And I think that would be the way it's worded in the stormwater management agreement for that O&M. So you'll see that in there. If you have any questions, give me a call.
All right, no problem.
Anything from the commissioners on this one? Okay, do I hear a motion to reaffirm the approval of the 531 Upland Avenue Annexation and Land Development Plan? Project was originally approved subject to conditions on September 27th, 2022, resolution number 62, 2022, and reaffirmed on January 24th, 2023, resolution number 10, 2023. Motion? Second? I'll second that just for fun. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 There we go. Thanks, thank you. Next up, we have the active plans requiring time extension. First one is 743 Thorn Street annexation and land development plan.
This plan, as you may know, hit a snag or denial by the zoning hearing board as part of this application. I'm a firm believer with giving everyone the opportunity to resolve any conflicts that they hit, but this plan may have hit its end. But I would have to I would recommend just one more extension. See if they could work out the zoning conflicts that they had, that which were denied by the zoning hearing board. And if they cannot do that within the next time period, then we should take official action to deny the plan. Is there anyone here?
Yeah, Dan's here.
Dan, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here, Jerome. I have not heard anything, news on this since the zoning hearing board.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, another 90 days that they can evaluate their choices. And then, yeah, okay. Sounds good to me. Any comments questions from the commissioners?
So what was the, zoning
Hearing board, application for use of the property as a commercial parking lot, as a subordinate use to the restaurant.
Commercial parking lot. Oh, in other words, they were renting it out.
They wanted to use the parking lot, and then they were going to annex it to the restaurant. But the zoning hearing board said it's within a residential zoning district, and they did not approve it because it was a accessory component to a commercial use. You basically are expanding the non-conformity.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see.
Did the city receive a written offer of extension of time on this?
Yes, we have.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Do I hear a motion to approve a 90-day review extension of the 743 Thorn Street annexation land development plan? Project was previously granted an extension on January 24th, 2023, resolution number 14-2023.
So move.
Okay, thank you, Nelson. Second. Okay, I'll second that. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Okay. Next up, we have Iglesia Pentecostal Movimiento de Fe land development plan. This one's on Schuylkill Avenue. I'll hand it over to Jerome for an update.
Okay. This project originally was granted approval by the zoning hearing board almost 2 years ago. The former zoning administrator granted an extension to the zoning hearing board's decision, which is going to be terminating shortly. So that's issue number one. Issue number two is that the property will need approval from PennDOT for site accessibility for ingress and egress along Schuylkill Avenue. The main complication there is the shared driveway between two landowners. So that still needs to be worked out. And then issue three is the land development plan itself, which is for the conversion of the former restaurant to a church. So the church has taken steps to try to do improvements on a limited basis. I would think that the zoning administrator is going to have to be making a decision on how this project is going to proceed. If a time extension is granted. Staff believes that it's going to need to go back to the zoning hearing board for a reaffirmation of approval on their end. since the time is going to lapse that the zoning administrator had given for the extension. So we got those three issues doubling up in the air. And I would recommend that we do one final 90-day time extension, just so that the applicant has the opportunity to resolve all those issues. If any of those issues cannot be resolved within that time period, then I think we're looking at denial, because the PennDOT issue hasn't been addressed. Zoning administrator would have determined that the time has lapsed for the zoning hearing board decision, and then there's the land development plan. Dan is on the line, obviously, so we'll get Dan's thoughts on that.
Yeah, you'll need my thoughts on this too, Jerome. I'm not entirely in agreement with what you just recommended, but let Dan explain the situation with the driveway. And I think there's something here that the city needs to do to step in, because it's not really the applicant who here is at fault, and they're probably in a position where they need some help. So Dan, maybe you want to explain the situation there with the driveway.
Yeah, I don't do PennDOT permits, so I have Greg Borgia doing the PennDOT permit. And we're just struggling with this whole darn thing. What PennDOT has come back now, it says that we need to have the property owner to the south, which is Aramark, and the property owner to the north, which is the laundromat, sign forms that they are parties to the permit. The property to the south, they do adjoin the driveway, which or the city alley, as it shows on the city map. But their property is graded so steep that it has no function to them. I have contacted their property attorney in Burbank, California, and I just got an email from her saying whether we'd be willing to have their local legal, that we pay their local legal to look at the paperwork to see if they want to sign it. So that's number one. We may be able to work through that one. I sent the information down to the fellow to the north, which is party to the joint driveway between the church and the laundromat. And I explained to him that this is a benefit to him, that if he wants to ever do anything with his building, he will be party to the permit, and it would behoove him to sign it. And I had made an appointment to meet with him, and then he called me up and canceled. So I sent everything down to him with a green card. I just got the green card back this week, and I was going to contact him to see if he's changed his mind. So that's where we are with PennDOT. As far as zoning, this property is a church. It's been a functioning church. What they want to do is put an addition on the church, and that's where this the new parking lot and improvements to the alley, which would be certainly beneficial to the neighborhood, would come by. But I can't move ahead without getting this PennDOT permit.
So if I could add maybe to it with Dan, just to maybe clarify, and I don't know if Chris knows the background on this, you've got a driveway there on the north, which is shared. It's an extra wide driveway. It is shared by both the church and the laundromat. And to get the HOP for the driveway, the PennDOT wants to see both sign off as though they were co-owners of one driveway. Unfortunately, it's like right down the middle. This is why we don't approve driveways like this in the city, where it's split right down the middle. We want the driveway located on a property, because this is the kind of thing you can get into with shared driveways. Apparently, this owner doesn't want to sign off on it. I don't know. I don't know why. Yes, Dan.
That was done on Charlie Sightsinger's plan too. The laundromat and the church were one, or the restaurant were one property. And Charlie Sightsinger subdivided it down the center of the driveway on a city recorded plan.
So we have maybe a problem with PennDOT not understanding what a property line means, because we really have two driveways, not one, is what you're trying to say.
Well, that would be a good way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah. but PennDOT doesn't see it that way. They see it as a shared driveway. Maybe
Yeah.
what if we put a curb down the middle, something to separate it?
Is there any
Well,
existing
that
HOP?
would defeat the access. It's only 16 feet wide. So even with the skew parking, if you put a curb down the middle of it, it's going to restrict access to the laundromat, which is
Oh,
against
I thought it was wider. I thought it was
No.
more like 30 feet wide. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was only 16
well, it has
feet
the
wide.
parking spaces. It
Yeah.
has all the parking on it for both
All right.
parties.
Wow. Yeah, unfortunately, if this was a city street, I would be compelled to approach the laundromat with a notice of violation that they don't have a driveway permit. But this is on a state highway, and so it's up to the state to issue the driveway permit, not the city.
Is there any existing HOP for this driveway? Is there anything historically permitted by PennDOT?
Not
that
that we know of.
Yeah.
I'm 70 years old and that driveway's been there as long as I've been alive.
Chris, as far as we know, there is no HOP.
Yeah, and that's what's holding up the plan approval. It's
Is
because
it possible
we require that.
to relocate the church's driveway and seek a permit on that basis? Or is that a non-starter with PennDOT also?
Well, we would have an option of just abandoning that one and using our property coming in from the city alley, and possibly we could work that alley out better with the neighbor to the south if we can get them to sign on to it.
So explain that then, Dan. What would you do in this case? Would you then close off the portion of the 16-foot wide driveway that is on the church property?
No, we can't do that because the laundromat has rights to use it.
But you can threaten them with that.
But
I mean,
we'd
you
have
have
to
every right
rework-
to do that. I mean, you have every right to do. I'm just thinking of a way to get some leverage here. If he's not being cooperative, which doesn't make any sense to me, he has nothing to lose. He has everything to gain. The church has spent tens of thousands of dollars to get this HOP, and he can piggyback on it and get one for himself for nothing. It doesn't make any sense why he wouldn't do it, but I don't know what other leverage could be had to make him do this. To make him
I got the
sign.
green card back that he's got all the information. So
Yeah.
now I can try to call him and maybe we can come to a meeting of minds. He was looking at the city plans and saying that the church's plans didn't have the zoning one at a little island at the end to keep the people from the north from cutting through the laundromat's property. And I have all that signage and stuff on the plan. So I copied the plan and I highlighted all that information to him that we were following what the zoning hearing board decision said. The zoning hearing board decision's on the darn plan. So I need to talk to him.
I want to caution everyone about trying to find another location for the driveway. If the driveway is relocated to a different position, you're going to lose parking spaces. And the zoning hearing board predicated their decision upon that there would be a certain amount of parking provided for the church. So you're going to be losing spaces. So then the zoning hearing board's decision would not be in compliance.
Dan, I would say try to get a hold of him. If he doesn't seem to be cooperative, let him know that the city, and I'll be the city. You and I can both talk to him and see if we can't explain this and give him some assurance that the plan is really all but approved except for these driveways, which is really should be minor.
Yeah,
and
it's
then this thing's ready to go.
to him. The whole plan is to minimize the cut through traffic from the north and improve the alley so that people are going out through the proper alley exit to the south and the signage and stuff. And the church is doing it all. It's at no cost to him.
Yeah.
So we're back to the three issues that the zoning hearing board's decision is going to be terminating, or the extension that was granted by the zoning administrator will be terminated. The HOP issue as well as the land development plan issue itself. So those are the three issues that I brought up early And I'd like to give the applicant the next 90 days to resolve it. Other than that, then it will have to go back to the zoning hearing board. The HOD will still need to be resolved and land development plan would possibly be denied at that time.
Oh boy, this is a tough one. Questions from the commissioners? Okay. Well, with that, do I hear a motion to approve a 90-day review extension of the Iglesia Pentecostal Movimiento de Fe land development plan? Project was previously granted an extension on August 23rd, 2022, resolution number 58-2022. And also on November 22nd, 2022, resolution number 2022, and January 24th, 2023, resolution number 15, 2023. So, your motion. Peter? Okay, second. Dan? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Very good. And we are once again unanimous. Okay, thank you for staying with us, Dan. We really appreciate it.
This is a frustrating one. The land development plan is easy. I could have that finished there in no time. This PennDOT is just, it's unconscionable. And this is good. This is happening all over the city where you got PennDOT holding up projects for, you know, the $20,000 that we spent in planning, we could have made that frontage look beautiful. You know, just tell us what the hell they want. But they come up with all this baloney.
Okay, well, good luck to you, Dan.
Thanks for the good luck. You need it. So have a good evening.
You too. Thanks.
Again.
Next up, we have the Villa Independent Cottages Land Development Plan.
Yes, as you might recall, we needed the last extension for that. Owner manager of the property. And they would need to take a more proactive approach to it. I don't know what that proactive approach has been. We haven't received anything. But I would like to give one last time extension before we officially take the actions to deny the plan. Did we receive?
We did, yes. We have the extension request.
Yeah, great. But I mean, I'm sure you may have discussion on going to be denied. As to my knowledge, nothing further is occurred.
Yeah. You haven't heard anything, have you, Tim?
No, I haven't heard a thing on this one. It's been silent.
All right. Any comments from the commissioners? Yeah, it's kind of. All right. With that, do I hear a motion to approve a 90-day review extension of the Villa Independent Cottages Land Development Plan? Project was previously granted an extension on August 23rd, 2022. Resolution number 59, 2022. Again, on November 22nd, 2022, resolution number 83-2022. And once again, on January 24th, 2023, resolution number 16-2023.
So move.
Although the addition that this is the last extension.
And that this is the last extension to be granted. To be granted. Okay, great. And would you still like to motion for that, Nelson?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, great. Okay, second. I'll second that. Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
very good. There we go. Whew. Well, there's all our votes for tonight, at least.
Maybe.
No.
Oh. Yeah, not yet. Huh? Okay, this other stuff's regular business.
So, yeah, we had, received a conditional final plan approval for the Reading School District High School Academy at North 9th Street, on December 8th, of 2022. We've gotten some reminders that the 90-day window would have been approaching. I did get the point of reaffirmation request from Brandy today. My understanding of that 90-day clock is once conditions are met. We did submit the reaffirmation request sheet in the event that it was deemed necessary, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, we just take a more proactive role and just once the 90 days is up or nearing that you just get it. I mean,
There's nothing been signed by the city, so there's no
yeah,
reaffirmation.
it's up to you to, once you're ready for reporting, is to make sure that the city planning commission has reaffirmed. So more than likely, you're going to be in a position to report the plan within the next 90 days.
I hope so. I think that the agreements are all finalized, cost estimates.
So that way, we're just circumventing the action that's required because you're then just, it'll be continuous versus say when you're ready to report it, then we're saying, wait a minute,
We gotta
wait
wait till
for the next meeting.
That's understandable. I think one of the other conditions, and Tim, I know, and Jerome, I know we forwarded up the revised storm that indicated taking some of the proposed roof water to the underground basin. I know your engineer's taking a look at that. I'll touch down with him, but again, my hope is that everything conditionally wise is wrapped up as soon as your engineer gets back to me. That's
Yeah, and do we have to make any modifications to the municipal improvements agreement?
I mean, that underground gets larger. If I need to adjust that number, I can adjust that number. But I'll have to touch down with the school district as well.
All right, yeah, we're just making sure that there's no time lapse.
So should we get a reaffirmation tonight or?
Yeah, it would be either tonight or
Or next
in April. So if you have a signed one now, I think we would have to amend the agenda. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Amend the agenda.
So- Right.
Okay.
So it sounds like we're waiting for next month. Okay.
Want to make sure we're all,
Okay.
I don't want something to go by the wayside.
Chris, we'll wait till later.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, we'll make sure that that's on there.
Thank you.
And once again, unless it's a update or something, just submit it. You don't actually have to come in. We do reaffirmations without people being here.
Yeah, I was here for other things, so I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm glad you stuck around and asked a question. Yeah, because we're all sorting through a bunch of things, so yeah, we want to make sure that nothing falls to the wayside, as has happened last year, and then we're like buried in stuff.
Understood. Thanks for letting me speak out of turn.
Oh, no, yeah, like I said, the rest of the business is just our normal.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next we have summary of the planning commission workshop meeting. We went over the annual report, explained a few things there. Brandy has sent out a new draft on that, and we should be ready with a final on that for the April April meeting. We'll discuss it again at the workshop. So that, because I'm still getting the, finding little minor things with the resolution list, for example, and I still have to make out the chart with all the dates on it. But it's coming along, and I think it'll be a little clearer to council, you know, how that things get held up, not because we're holding them up, but because oftentimes, you know, there's other things going on, or else the client's just not ready or doesn't have the money or something. So, we also discussed the zoning and saldo amendments. We'll have an update on that for the next workshop meeting.
And you've already made your recommendation for the phase 1 of it.
Yes, I believe we did, yeah. Or did we, or are we
not
waiting
yet.
for Berks County comments?
Well, we sent them to the county in response to their comments, to make sure that we address those comments.
Right, so we're waiting for that final information back from the county. But as I understand it, the commissioners here could approve them or recommend them to city council pending what you hear back from Berks County. That was my understanding.
Yes. Okay.
And then we also quickly discussed that we added a few things to the community planning assessment and inventory. And I think we have all the documents for that. Maybe we'll get an update on all the list of documents for that and get them in a folder on the server so that we can look at them at our leisure, and they're all in one place.
Yeah, so the objective is to do reports at this point with respects to the community planning assessment and inventory, basically establishing goals, objectives, policies for future use, and then also to start to initiate seeking grant opportunities.
Cool. Very good. Next, we have approval of the planning commission minutes for, what was it, December 20th, right? Okay, I did send in a few minor corrections. The biggest thing was that the dates for the time extensions should have been the 28th. I think I have in my notes actually the 29th. In the minutes, it says the 20th, but that's probably a copy and paste error because all the something else on there was the 20th, was the March 20th was the deadline. But of course, it would make no sense that we wouldn't extend we would extend something and then have the extension date end 8 days before we actually met.
Right back to 12/8/2.
12/8/2. Find it. In the stack somewhere.
Want to make sure we didn't miss. This is the zoning and saldo.
Right. From the agenda.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Did the planning commission make any form of a recommendation on the past tracks? The only thing we did take adjustments to was the county's review letters for which you considered at that time as well. So in the, so not sure, we better just be cautious and make sure we do it in April.
Yeah.
So for January 24th, I have that there was no action.
About February 28th.
And we discussed it at the next workshop. Okay.
No, we took action on it.
We did, okay.
Yeah, I don't have any notations
Okay,
on it.
this was just,
No, there's no vote in February today.
this was just a coordination of it to be sent to city council. And I want to make sure we have an official recommendation.
Yeah.
In place that we all remember.
Yeah, I don't have
Put it on the
anything
agenda for you.
here on the
Okay.
workshop. meeting. Okay, let's do that.
And that way you'll also see it in, Michelle is putting it in, ordinance format as well.
Yeah, that'll be great then. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, with that, do I hear a motion to accept the minutes with the minor corrections dated, December 20th, 2023? Okay, Peter? Second, Dan? Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I heard from everybody. There we go. Okay, next regular planning commission meeting is, the next workshop meeting is April 18th, 2023. We know pretty well what we're going to discuss there. And of course, if any plans do come up, any sketch plans do come up, we'll see those then. And our regular meeting is Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. Okay. Any comments? All right. With that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay, Dan and Peter for the second. Yeah. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, very good. Thank you. We are now adjourned and, yeah, well,
I'm going to stop recording. Sorry.
yeah, go.